All right, are you ready to learn how to use the block system to make this as easy as possible? If so, join me. Now I'm going to pull up the blocks. You're going to lose my face, but you're going to see the blocks. So follow along with me. Let me go grab those up here. All right, so now the great thing about this, it certainly was for me, because I'm not great at math and thinking about all the arithmetic. The block system already has all the arithmetic done for you. It's done in what I like to call an exchange system. In other words, what you're going to see right here are the proteins, the amount of proteins for each thing for one block. Then you're going to see the carbohydrates and the fats. So what you're going to do is you're going to make your meals with these blocks already done for you. The same number of blocks of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. So let me share with you what that means. We've already said that for most of us, I'm just going to use this, each meal that we're going to have, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, are going to have 3 blocks. They're 3-block meals. So what that means is you're going to have 3 protein blocks, 3 carb blocks, and 3 fat blocks. The same number of blocks for each one. If you're doing a 1-block snack, then you just have 1 block of each. All right, so let's go down here to see. So again, you'll see this again. The block already has the 7 grams already calculated for you. And the reason I love this one too is because it does give you 3 different columns on here. So it's going to tell you your best choices, fair, and poor. And what is poor? Poor is going to be just that it's more saturated fats. It's not quite as healthy a choice, but you certainly can have it. What you're going to see though is the more that you can use the best choices, the bigger amounts you're going to have per block. So let's just look right here. So again, just 1 block is going to be 1 ounce of your grass-fed beef, your chicken breast, turkey breast. You get your seafood in here, tuna canned in water. Or you can have 1.5 ounces. So they're going to give you a little more. Why? Because it's even lower in fat. So you can have like 1.5 portions of some deli style chicken breast or turkey breast. You do get salmon in here and scallops, snapper, swordfish, and some other portion sizes for the best choices for your protein. 2 egg whites. You can have a 1/4 cup of egg substitute, a 1/4 cup of low fat cottage cheese. So you're going to see that with these, they're asking for that lower fat. Now, I know in a lot of different nutrition plans, they're all about, oh no, you want the full fat, but this is a low saturated fat nutrition plan. And then we add the fat, the healthier fats on at the end. All right. What else can you do? You can also have 1 ounce portions of, say, some lean ham, maybe 1.5 of the deli ham, or 3 strips of turkey bacon. I use turkey bacon a lot for breakfast, and when I make, say, my Brussels sprouts I love a baked Brussels sprout kind of casserole, and I'll use the turkey bacon in that. So 3 strips, which is a lot actually for 1 block. And then you're considered to be poor choices like your heavier, fattier meats, pepperoni, salami, hard cheese, because that has a lot more of the fat, etc. So, but 1 ounce for those, 1.5 portions of ground beef, and 3 strips of regular bacon. But you probably want to not have the regular pork bacon as often as maybe you'd have your turkey bacon. All right, so let's just think about this for one moment. That's 1 block. So let's say you're putting together perhaps your breakfast. You would want to have 3 of these blocks for your breakfast. So what would that give you? Well, let's say, for example, you're going to have your turkey bacon and you want all of your proteins going to be just one kind. That would be 3, 6, 9 strips of turkey bacon. That's a lot of turkey bacon. Maybe instead you want to do 1 block with 3 strips of turkey bacon, and then you have 2 more blocks of a protein that you'll need to fill in with. So maybe you'll have 2 or 4 egg whites to make an omelet. Or maybe you'll have 2 egg whites and a little bit of cottage cheese or an ounce of hard cheese. So again, you need 3 blocks. You can have all one protein or you can mix and match. For lunch and dinners, perhaps you might want, let's say, 1.5 ounces. You're going to have 3 of those. So you're going to have a good 4 ounces of maybe salmon or 4 ounces of scallops or shrimp. So I think you get the message. All right, so those are your protein blocks. Let's take a look at carbohydrates. This is a much bigger list because in this you're going to have your vegetables, your lean, your non-starchies, your starchies, your fruits, and some of the whole grains. And then you'll also have more unfavorables that has a whole big list. So again, this is 1 block. For your meals, you're going to combine 3. All right, so favorable and unfavorable. So in cooked vegetables, you can see that you can have a lot. 1.5 slice zucchini is just 1, and that's cooked, is just 1 block. So that's a lot of cooked zucchini. So you can see where you're going to make up a lot of volume if you're using your favorable carbohydrates, which is what you want to do the majority of the time. But that doesn't mean that you can't have any unfavorables. But take a look. When you look at unfavorables, you're going to see that the portions are much smaller. So 1 block might be, let's say, a 1/4 cup of corn, right? A 1/4 cup of corn is not a lot. So let's say you want to use 2 of your carbohydrate blocks in that meal. You'd have a 1/2 cup of corn and then maybe 1.5 cups of shredded cabbage. I'm just using that as an example, but you can see how you can start to mix and match. 1/3 of a baked sweet potato. So that's always a really nice one, or a 1/3 cup of peas. I like a 1/3 cup, 1/3 of a baked sweet potato. That would give you a little bit of starch. And then you can have 2 more blocks over more in the favorables to really make up a nice volume. We also have raw vegetables, and you're going to see that it's almost outrageous how much you can have. For example, just 1 block of raw vegetables, 3 cups of shredded cabbage. That's a lot of cabbage. So you can see how you can really just get so much volume when you're using the majority of favorables. Let's look over here. Here are some of the less favorable fruits, but you can certainly still have them. 1/3 of a banana is 1 block. So if you're going to have 1 whole banana, right, that's going to give you 3/3 of a banana or 1 whole banana. That's going to cover all your blocks for that period of time. But let's just say you have the 3 turkey strips, let's just say 2 or 4 cups of your egg whites. So now you have a little egg white, you have your 3 strips of turkey bacon, and you could have 1 whole banana. And that would be that until we get to fats. All right, so I think you get the picture. So you'll see in this that nothing really is off limits, but the things that are higher sugar, higher starch, and higher fats are going to be a much, much smaller amount. And so that's why you want to use the majority in your favorables. All right. So 1 block is 2 tomatoes. Now that's just 1 block. So you could have 2, 4, 6 tomatoes if you wanted to use all of your carb blocks in one with tomatoes. All right, so let's go over here now. So let's go to fruits here. These are favorable fruits. So 1 block is 1/2 an apple. A lot of times for lunch, I will have a whole apple, and I'll have some turkey, like turkey breast, which I can have 4 ounces. So that's a nice amount. And I'll have maybe a full apple. That gives me 2. And then I'll have maybe something else along with it, whether it's a little bit more fruit or a couple of vegetables. And then I have a little bit of peanut butter for my fat. So that's a way that you can start to combine. Or I just thought I'd mention that. 1/3 cup applesauce. Again, these are 1 blocks. So for a meal, you're going to have 3 of them. So you can see you can get quite a bit. Let's look over here under unfavorables. Well, let's go down here. Favorable grains. There's really only 3 favorable grains in this right now. So you have a half a teaspoon of dry barley. But most of us aren't running for barley, so it's not a big deal. But I think where most of us tend to go to, at least I do, is the oatmeal. So you can have a third cup slow cooked oatmeal or a half an ounce of dry slow cooking oatmeal. I like to use the dry, and that way you add the water and you can have that with that. That again, remember, is one block. So if all your carbohydrates are going to be oatmeal for your breakfast or whatever meal you're using, you're going to multiply that by 3. Okay, so you'd have a whole cup of slow cooked oatmeal. I like to maybe do 2 of those and do 2/3 cup slow cooked oatmeal. And then I add in my half a cup of blueberries. And that's my 3 blocks. And then I might have some protein powder and maybe a little bit of turkey bacon or something like that. So you're starting to get the picture. Now, here are your unfavorable grain cereals and breads. And you're going to see it's just not a lot, but you can certainly have them. 3 Triscuit crackers is one. So if you wanted to have all your blocks in Triscuits, you could have 9 Triscuit crackers and you'd be able to get that along with it. I know a lot of people like to have their tortillas. So 1 6-ounce corn tortilla, which is a small corn tortilla, would be 1 block. So you might want to have 2 blocks and have 2 corn tortillas and maybe put your chicken or whatever you have in your tortilla and then add some veggies or whatever. And now you can have some tortillas for a dinner or lunch. So that's how you're going to combine that. Now, I know a lot of us women, we love our wine, do we not? And while I certainly am not advocating having wine, certainly all the time, but there are times, let's face it, when we go out or we're with friends that we want to have our wine. 4 ounces of wine or 1 ounce distilled spirits, 6 ounces of beer is 1 block. So if you want to have a whole cup of wine, that's 2 blocks. So perhaps you have your cup of wine, maybe you do a nice salad with a lot of veggies. That would be your 3rd block of carbs. You would have your piece of fish or whatever you're having, 3 to 4 ounces. That's your protein. And maybe a little bit of olive oil balsamic dressing. And that's going to be your meal. So it's not all about deprivation. It's simply about moderation and smaller amounts of your unfavorables. You can even see that there's 2 tablespoons of cocktail sauce. Yeah, cocktail sauce typically has a lot of sugar in it, so we have to account for that. It really makes you become very aware of how everything that we put in our body counts. The body knows, even if the brain wants to think, well, I ate that standing up, it doesn't really matter. You really become very aware of everything you're putting in your mouth, which is perfect. That's also the benefit of journaling, isn't it? All right, so you can see that it's very small amounts when there's unfavorables. All right, let's move on. There are foods that are mixed protein and carbs, and they would be 1 block of each. So again, it's already been figured for you. So for example, if you have 1 cup of low-fat milk, milk is protein and carbs, 1 block. Or if you are somebody who maybe likes tofu, I happen to like it, 3 ounces of tofu, either soft or regular, is 1 block of each. And 3 ounces is actually a nice amount. So when you're using that, that would be 1 block for just 3 ounces. If you wanted it to be 2 blocks, obviously it's 6 ounces. And then you would add another block of protein somewhere and another block of carb and a little bit of fat. Excuse me. All right, so now with the fats, you also have best choices, fair and poor. Now, this does say that if you're having animal protein, that you want to go a little even less in the fat, because even just like chicken breast, there's still fat in it, even if you're not using or taking off the skin. But I try to not be too rigid with this. Just be very careful about the amount of fat, because it's really easy to add 200-300 calories to your day by just adding a little bit of fat without really measuring and taking a look at it. And that 200-300 calories over 7 days can be a pound that you either lose or you don't lose. So just pay really close attention to your fat. That does not mean not to have it. It's still really important for our health that we get in our good fats. All right, so best choices. Here you go on this one. I always love this one, macadamia nut, because we know it has a lot of fat to it. 6 peanuts, some peanut oil if you like this, tahini, a half a teaspoon of tahini. So if you're making your own hummus with the chickpeas, it's a small amount, but you do get a little of that. 1 tablespoon of guacamole. And let's face it, a good tablespoon of guacamole on the salad, even that with maybe just some balsamic vinegar and some guacamole, makes a beautiful salad dressing, or just way to dress the salad, and it's really nice and rich. You can also use, by the way, soft tofu, depending on how many blocks you want to use, but to make a salad dressing with that. Anyway, just thought I'd mention that. 3 whole almonds. So again, 3 blocks of that would be 6 almonds. Fair choice. You can see if you're using 1/3 of the regular mayonnaise, you can use a little bit more if you're using light. I wouldn't recommend using any soybean oil, but I put this on here anyway. And then your poorer choices, which would be bacon bits and half, those kinds of things. I know sometimes people love to have their half and half in their coffee in the morning. And just know that that would be 1 fat block if you're using it. So use it and then go really low fat on the other parts of the proteins that you're using. And again, this is 1 block, not 3. So this will also be on this document that you have, just calorie portions. Again, this gets into a bit of math, but if you want to look at it, here we go. 400 calories, let's say, for each meal is going to give you 160 calories of the carbohydrates with 40 grams of protein. So this will just give you a little bit more understanding of how to use that. All right, so that is how you're going to use your blocks. I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks.